You're standing in the middle of the strip surrounded by 50,000 strangers doing the exact same thing you are, and you want to actually feel like you found something real in the city? Genuinely, that's not happening from where you're standing right now. I once read somewhere that most people who visit Las Vegas never leave a 4-block stretch of Las Vegas Boulevard the entire trip, and after actually spending real time here, walking the neighborhoods most tourists never bother with, that stat genuinely tracks. Because Las Vegas is this insane mix of desert canyons, 20 minutes from the casino floor, hidden speakeasies behind unmarked doors, abandoned neon signs glowing in an open-air museum, actual mountain snow within driving distance of the strip, and neighborhoods locals actually live and eat and that have nothing to do with a slot machine. Somebody told me you were in need of a real Las Vegas list. Not the influencer version, the one that actually shows you why people who live here never once stepped foot on the strip unless they're working. So here it is. And genuinely, that's not an exaggeration. Ask anyone who's actually lived in this valley for a few years, and most of them will tell you they can count on one hand how many times they've been inside a strip casino this year, if at all. Stick with me, because number 7 is going to genuinely make you mad that nobody told you sooner, and the very last one is the kind of thing that changes how you plan every single trip after this. Comment Vegas right now if you're ready, because I want to see how many of you already knew about this city's actual best-kept secret before I even say it. Okay, so here's the myth. Everybody thinks Las Vegas is just slot machines, a buffet, and a club you paid way too much to get into. That's it. That's the whole plan for a lot of people. Land, gamble, regret, leave. And genuinely, that's like flying to an entire country and only ever seeing the duty-free shop at the airport. You are missing basically the entire point of why this desert city keeps pulling people back year after year. You're spending 4 days in one of the most surprising layered cities in the entire country, and you want to be spending 3 of those days inside one casino floor with no windows? Genuinely, let's fix that right now. I'm not saying the strip isn't worth a night, it genuinely is. The lights alone deserve at least one evening. But treating it as the whole trip is like ordering the same appetizer 4 nights in a row at an all-you-can-eat buffet. There's a whole spread behind it nobody's telling you about. So let's actually fix this. Let's go count down properly, biggest hidden gems first, building all the way up to the one that's genuinely non-negotiable by the end. Quick question before we start. How many of these 15 do you think you've actually heard of already? Be honest, because even people who visited Vegas 3 or 4 times usually only recognize 2 or 3 names on a list like this. That tells you everything about how much of this city stays hidden even from people who think they already know it. And genuinely, most of what makes this city interesting has almost nothing to do with gambling at all. Somewhere along the way, this became a food city, an art city, and genuinely surprising outdoor destination, and none of that gets marketed nearly as hard as a casino floor does. Number 15, Springs Preserve. Now I know what you're thinking. A nature park in the middle of a desert casino city sounds like a contradiction. But hear me out. This place sits on actual natural springs that gave Las Vegas its name in the first place, filled with botanical gardens, walking trails to recreated desert ecosystems, and museum exhibits explaining exactly why an entire city was built in the middle of the Mojave. There's also a genuinely impressive butterfly habitat and a working demonstration garden showing how desert landscaping actually saves water, small details most people would never expect to find this close to a casino corridor. Most tourists don't even know it exists because it's a solid 15-minute drive west of the strip, and nobody puts it on a first trip itinerary. Walk the trails the early morning before the desert heat sets in, and you'll genuinely forget you're anywhere near a casino at all. I remember the first time I went, I genuinely thought I'd wandered into the wrong state, because it felt more like a national park visitor center than anything you'd associate with the strip a few miles away. Have you ever found a spot so quiet you actually forgot you were in one of the loudest cities in the country? Tell me in the comments, because that's exactly what this place does to people. And here's the part almost nobody mentions. The museum exhibits here actually explain how this exact spot is the literal reason the entire city exists. Natural springs that once flowed here are why settlers picked this stretch of desert in the first place, long before a single casino was ever built. Number 14, 7 Magic Mountains. This one's criminally underrated, and I genuinely don't understand why more people don't put it on their list. 7 massive towers of stacked, painted boulders standing right out in the open desert. A genuine large-scale art installation sitting just south of the city with the empty landscape stretching out in every direction behind it. People assume you need to travel somewhere overseas for a genuine large-scale art experience like this. You don't. It's sitting right off the highway heading toward the state line, basically empty compared to the crowds everyone floods into on the strip every night. I once read somewhere that these boulders were painted using colors specifically chosen to look artificial against the natural desert palette, on purpose, and once you're standing there, that contrast genuinely hits differently than any photo shows. Ask yourself this: would you rather stand in line for a strip photo everyone else already has, or actually stand next to something that looks like nothing else around it for miles? That's not even a hard choice. Go right around sunset if you can. The desert light behind these towers turns the whole scene into something that genuinely looks different every 10 minutes as the sun drops lower. Bring a wide-angle lens. If you're into photography, the scale of these towers against the flat desert horizon genuinely doesn't translate through a phone camera the same way it does through something built for landscape shots. Number 13, the Neon Museum. Okay, this one sounds like a tourist trap until you actually understand what it is. It's not a casino attraction, it's an actual outdoor graveyard for old Las Vegas. Decades of genuine neon signs pulled off demolished casinos and hotels, some dating back to the 1930s, all preserved in the exact spot where they now sit rusting under the desert sun. City history and actual glowing signage in the same walk. Your brain will not compute how much of old Vegas is sitting quietly in one lot until you're standing there. Here's the actual insider move though. Go for the night tour instead of the daytime one, because several of the original signs have actually been restored and relit, and seeing them glow again in the dark hits completely differently than seeing them faded in daylight. Would you have guessed Las Vegas kept an entire graveyard of its own history sitting just blocks from downtown? Drop a yes or no below. I'm genuinely curious how many of you had no idea. Some of these size once hung on casinos that don't even exist as buildings anymore, meaning the sign itself is genuinely the only surviving piece of an entire piece of the city's history. Number 12, Red Rock Canyon. Now this one's got a catch, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. Midday visits in summer can get brutally hot and crowded with tour buses stopping through on their way back to the strip. But genuinely, it's worth timing, right? A 13-mile scenic loop drive through actual red sandstone cliffs, just 20 minutes from the casino lights, with hiking trails ranging from an easy stroll to a genuine full-day canyon trek. Wild burros and desert bighorn sheep genuinely wander through parts of this canyon too, so keep your camera ready even on the drive itself. Some of the best wildlife sightings on this entire list happen right from the car window before you've even parked. It's a short drive from the entrance to the first overlook, but the payoff is one of those views that just quiets your brain for a second, especially at sunrise when the rock turns a deep, genuine red. Go right at opening or in the last 2 hours before sunset. That's the actual hack here, not the scenic drive itself. There's a timed entry system now during peak season, so genuinely book that slot online before you drive out, because showing up without one during a busy weekend can mean getting turned away entirely. Number 11, the Arts District, but specifically the side streets around the main strip galleries. This is where it gets a little conspiratorial, because barely anyone talks about the blocks surrounding the main gallery row compared to the crowded First Friday event everyone photographs once a month. An entire neighborhood covered in murals, vintage shops, and independent art spaces, most of it completely walkable if you just wander 2 or 3 blocks in any direction from the main strip. You can literally spend an entire afternoon finding murals and small galleries that never make it onto anyone's feed, simply because they're not part of the official event. Standing in these quieter blocks genuinely feels different than the crowded main strip everyone lines up for once a month, mostly because you actually have room to look up and take it in without getting jostled. Have you ever walked somewhere that felt like an entire creative neighborhood nobody bothered to put a spotlight on outside of one night a month? That's exactly these side streets. You're paying a rideshare fare to sit through casino traffic for one photo op, and you want to be genuinely wandering an entire arts neighborhood most tourists only see once a month during one crowded event? Genuinely come back on a regular Tuesday afternoon instead. Number 10, Vicky's Dinner. People sleep on this one incredibly hard because everyone defaults straight to a strip buffet without ever checking what else is out there. But this diner is genuinely more meaningful and honestly more surprising, because it's one of the oldest diners still standing in the entire city, tucked inside a small market that most tourists drive right past without a second glance. The market itself is worth a slow walk too. Small independent grocers, a butcher counter, and local vendors selling things you genuinely won't find inside a single resort gift shop anywhere on the strip. The whole place is so quiet you'll genuinely forget you're only 10 minutes from the chaos of the strip, which is basically the entire appeal of coming out here. The chicken fried steak here will make you completely forget you're in the same city as the crowded casino buffets downtown. Genuinely underrated compared to how nostalgic it actually feels once you're sitting at the counter. You're stuck thinking Vegas food only means an overpriced all-you-can-eat spread, and you want to be experiencing an actual decades-old diner locals still swear by instead? Genuinely, that contrast is the whole reason to visit. Order the homemade pie too, genuinely. Most people come for the chicken fried steak and completely skip dessert, and that's honestly the bigger mistake here. Number 9, Downtown Container Park. They call this one of the most creative open-air spaces in the entire city, and honestly, for once, the reputation is completely accurate. Built out of actual shipping containers stacked into small shops, bars, and restaurants, with a giant fire-breathing praying mantis sculpture at the entrance that lights up after dark. Here's the real hack though. Skip the crowded main Fremont Street canopy show everyone lines up for at night and instead walk 2 blocks over here first. Same downtown energy, way less noise, way fewer strangers crowding your view of the entrance. Would you rather stand shoulder to shoulder under Fremont Street for one narrow photo angle, or basically have an entire creative container village to wander through at your own pace? Yeah, thought so. There's a genuine kids play area with a giant slide built into a treehouse structure too, so if you're traveling with family, this spot ends up being one of the only genuinely kid-friendly stops on this entire list. Number 8, Secret Pizza inside the Cosmopolitan. This spot runs on old school New York energy but doesn't have to feel like a tourist trap if you actually time your visit right. Go for an actual late night slice. The kind of thing that's become genuinely legendary, specifically because there's no sign anywhere. You have to literally follow the smell down a hallway on the 3rd floor to find it. That's the actual secret here. Go on a weeknight around 11 at night, right when a Casino 4 crowd starts thinning out, and you'll walk right up to the counter with barely anyone in front of you. It's not a gimmick spot just because tourists happen to know about it now. It's actually one of the most talked about hidden late night spots in the entire resort corridor. I once read somewhere that this exact hallway spot has been running with 0 signage for over a decade, specifically to keep the discovery part of the whole experience. And honestly, once you find it yourself, that mystery genuinely makes the pizza taste better. Just follow the actual smell of garlic and dough down the 3rd floor hallway near the shops. There's genuinely no sign, no arrow, nothing pointing you there on purpose. Number 7, and this is the one that's gonna make you a little mad nobody mentioned sooner. Here at Kitty, hidden inside Resorts World, everyone knows the Strip's main bars, everyone knows the big name nightclubs, but tucked inside a food hall stall at Resorts World is an entire secret speakeasy. And I mean genuinely secret. The entrance is a working refrigerator door inside a random shop. There's a specific cat sticker, and I mean genuinely a small cat decal, that marks the exact shop you need to walk into before you find the hidden door leading into a full Prohibition-era style lounge. You get an entire hidden cocktail bar experience most people pay reservation fees and passwords for elsewhere, without needing to book anything in advance most nights. Why doesn't everyone know this? Genuinely, why does this stay so quiet? Comment below if this is the first time you're hearing about Here Kitty, because I guarantee you it's most of you reading this right now. Look for a small cat sticker on one of the storefronts inside the Famous Foods Street Eats Hall. That's genuinely the only clue you're given, and finding it yourself is honestly half the fun of the whole experience. Number 6, Area 15. Now this one blew my expectations completely the first time I actually walked inside. It's not just an attraction, it's an entire immersive entertainment complex built around interactive art installations, unmarked doors leading to unexpected rooms, and an indoor zipline running straight through the middle of the building. There's also a genuinely excellent food hall inside now, run by chefs who wanted a creative space away from the traditional resort dining scene, meaning you can genuinely spend an entire evening here without ever needing to leave for dinner. Go during a weekday afternoon when it's mostly locals wandering through, and you can explore long stretches of it without ever feeling rushed by a line, discovering rooms most first-time visitors walk straight past. Most people only ever hear about this place as just one attraction inside. Actually walking through the entire building room by room, it hits completely, genuinely differently. Some rooms genuinely change layout and theme over time, so even people who've been here before find entirely new hidden corners on a repeat visit, which is honestly rare for any attraction in the city. Number 5, Mount Charleston, the gateway to actual snow, 40 minutes from the Strip. This mountain sits right at the edge of Spring Mountains, home to pine forests, hiking trails, and in winter, genuine snowfall, all while the desert floor below stays completely dry and warm. The drive up here climbs above 7,000 feet, literally putting you into a completely different climate zone within less than an hour of leaving casino air conditioning behind. Locals escape up here every summer weekend like it's nothing, casually trading desert heat for pine-covered mountain air, which honestly, once you've felt the temperature difference yourself, makes complete sense. The temperature drop alone is genuinely worth the drive. It can run 20 to 30 degrees cooler up here than down on the Strip, which in the middle of summer is basically the difference between misery and an actual comfortable afternoon outdoors. Number 4, Emerald Cave. If you've seen one photo representing the hidden side of this region, it was probably taken somewhere along this stretch of the Colorado River. Turquoise water, towering canyon walls, sunlight bouncing off the cave in a genuine green glow. But here's the myth everyone gets wrong. People assume this kind of scenery means driving hours away to a different state entirely. It doesn't, it's less than an hour from the Strip. The real move, and I mean this is completely non-negotiable, book an actual guided kayak tour through Black Canyon instead of just viewing it from a boat deck. Paddling it on your own gets you right up against the cave walls, into the narrow sections a larger boat simply can't reach, and the water genuinely glows a different color depending on the exact time of day you paddle through. Would you rather see this from a crowded tour boat deck at a distance, or basically paddle right up to the canyon wall yourself? That's the real question here. Lodge from Willow Beach for the shortest, easiest paddle in. It's genuinely beginner friendly and the guides handle all the equipment so you don't need any prior kayaking experience to actually do this. Number 3. Valley of Fire State Park. An entire landscape of red sandstone formations, some formed over 150 million years ago, and you could actually drive the scenic loop yourself or hike directly out to ancient petroglyphs carved by people who lived here thousands of years before Vegas existed. This exact stretch of desert inspired more quiet, dramatic sunset photos than almost anywhere else in the entire region, and standing among these rock formations, genuinely, you completely understand why. It's genuinely Nevada's oldest and largest state park, and despite that, it stays remarkably uncrowded compared to how packed the Strip gets on an average Saturday night just an hour away. The sound of the Strip disappears completely once you're out here, and that's honestly part of the whole experience, standing somewhere that makes your brain genuinely forget the entire resort corridor exists just an hour away from you. I once read somewhere that some of the petroglyphs here are estimated to be over 2,000 years old, carved by people who lived in this exact valley long before anyone imagined a city of lights would ever exist, an hour down the road. Number 2. Chinatown Plaza. A stretch of Spring Mountain Road packed with authentic restaurants representing food from across an entire continent, run by chefs who moved here specifically because the local community demanded the real thing instead of a Strip imitation. Parking can get tight during peak dinner hours, so genuinely aim for an early dinner around 6 if you want to actually park close instead of circling the plaza for 15 minutes. It's free just to walk through and browse, which genuinely feels like a mistake given how much genuine culinary talent is packed into a handful of strip mall plazas. Weeknight evenings turn this stretch into this genuinely overwhelming mix of smells. From hot pot to fresh noodles to actual regional dishes, you won't find inside any casino food court. Go on a weeknight for dinner, not during a Saturday night casino crowd overflow. That's the actual difference between comfortably trying several places and standing in a line at every single one. You want to be doing a real food tour of the city, and you're paying Strip prices for a mediocre version of food you could get genuinely authentic 10 minutes away. Genuinely, this stretch alone gives you more variety in one evening than most resort restaurants put together. Bring a genuine appetite, and don't just stick to one plaza either. The road stretches for miles, and different sections specialize in completely different regional cuisines, meaning you could genuinely eat your way down this one road for an entire week without repeating a single dish. And number 1, the one I promised would change how you plan every single trip after this. Fremont Street itself, but specifically after midnight, once the tour groups and family crowds have genuinely thinned out, you're standing under the exact same canopy lights everyone photographs at 8 in the evening surrounded by thousands of people, and you want to actually feel the energy this street was originally built around. Genuinely, come back after midnight. This is where old Vegas, the version before the mega resorts took over the skyline, genuinely still lives. Live bands playing on outdoor stages, street performers, and locals who actually come down here specifically because it feels nothing like the Strip a few minutes away. Before the mega resorts even existed, this exact stretch of street was the entire city. Every casino that mattered was crammed into these few blocks, and standing here after midnight is genuinely the closest you can get to feeling what Vegas was actually like before it expanded into the version most people picture today. Here's the actual cheat code though. The one thing that changes everything about this experience: walk the side streets just off Fremont too, not just the main canopy stretch. That's where most of the speakeasies and late night diners on this entire list are actually clustered. Grab a drink from more of the older bars still hanging on down here, the ones that were around long before the Canopy and Light Show got built overhead. They genuinely still have regulars who've been coming for decades, and sitting among them for even 20 minutes tells you more about old Vegas than any museum exhibit could. That's the real secret this entire list has been building toward this whole time. Timing beats destination every single time, no matter which city you're actually in. You can go to the exact same 15 places I just gave you, but if you go at the wrong hour or the wrong season, you'll walk away with a mediocre, crowded version of what's actually there waiting for you. And genuinely, this entire list only works if you're willing to actually leave the Strip corridor for a few hours at a time. That's the one thing almost nobody visiting for the first time is willing to do, and it's exactly why these 15 places stay this quiet. So here's your actual homework, and I genuinely mean this. Comment below with the 3 places from this list you're adding to your trip first, right now, before you close this out. Writing it down, actually typing it out in the comments, is what turns a vague maybe into an actual real plan. This not just me being dramatic for effect, that's a real psychological trick. Committing to something publicly makes you significantly more likely to actually follow through on it. So do it. Comment your top 3 right now while it's still fresh in your head. And if this saved you from planning another basic, forgettable Vegas trip, subscribe, because next week I'm breaking down the exact 3-day route that hits half of this entire list without you wasting an entire day just walking casino floors looking for something new to do. One last thing before you go. Almost every single place on this list costs less than a single night at a strip club cover charge, and a few of them are genuinely free. That's not an accident. That's the whole philosophy behind this list. The best version of this city has never actually been about how much you're willing to lose at a table. It's about knowing where to actually look and when to actually show up. And genuinely, the biggest mistake people make with this city isn't picking the wrong places, it's assuming the whole trip has to happen inside 4 blocks of casino floor. Vegas rewards people who are willing to rent a car for one afternoon and actually see what's 20 minutes outside the lights. If you take just one thing away from this whole list, let it be that. Pick just one spot on this list, drive out for a single afternoon and actually see it. That's genuinely the difference between a trip you forget in a month and one you keep talking about years later. And if you're the kind of traveler who's already done the Strip a few times and felt like there was genuinely nothing new left to see, this list is proof that's simply not true. This city has spent decades building an entire second identity right alongside the casinos, and almost nobody bothers to go looking for it. Honestly, that's true of a lot of famous cities. The version everyone photographs is rarely the version locals actually love, and Vegas might be the single clearest example of that gap in the entire country. Come back in 7 days and tell me which one on this list surprised you the most. I'll see you then.